What's going on, everyone? In this video, we are going to talk about the 10 things that I do constantly in my house. So 10 things I do on a regular basis. I find that I am constantly doing these things all the time. And when I mean on a regular basis, I don't mean cleaning weekly or cleaning monthly or doing maintenance monthly. I'm talking about I do these things all the time, every day. I mean, it is exhausting doing these things. You'll see. Number one, I am constantly doing dishes. I only have this little drain and this little mat, and every time it fills up, I need to put the dishes away. If every meal that I eat has some kind of silverware that I use, or that has a dish that I use, especially one that needs to be washed rather than thrown away, then I throw it in the sink. Mind you, I have 4 cats, 2 cats and 2 kittens, and the 2 kittens are little terrors around this house, so they get up on the counter and they're constantly in the sink trying to look for pieces of food. So I am constantly doing dishes. I constantly have to make sure all the food particles are off these dishes to make sure that it's ready for the next time. Number 2 would be putting away those dishes. I feel like I am constantly putting away dishes after I wash the dishes, and then I put them in the drain to dry. Then I go do some work and whatnot, and then I come back and then I'm like, oh, there's some dishes to put away. So I have to stop and put away those dishes. Then when I eat another meal, I go through the same routine. Wash the dishes, put them in there, and I have to put more dishes away. I am constantly doing this throughout the day, and it's something that I'm going to have to get used to because it's a small space. It's just what I have to do. So moving on to number 3. I am constantly adjusting the air and the heat. I have a mini split. In the winter, it stays on heat. In the summer, it stays on air. And then I have 3 space heaters that are almost constantly going within the house. I could choose to open the windows, but then I feel like humidity gets the best of me and I have to close them again because then the house gets really hot. I do have the fan that's running up there, but other than that fan that basically circulates all the air that I'm putting out, I'm constantly adjusting the air or the heat, especially on the space heaters, because I have one in my room, one in the bathroom, and then one in the living room. When I sleep, I'll either sleep with a window open and then the fan on, or a little bit of the heat on. It's all different, and I'm constantly adjusting it for either my comfort or for the cat's comfort. Number 4, which is like one of my favorites. I am constantly putting things away. I kind of challenge myself to put things away in my house because when I was writing my notes for Going Tiny, I thought of this phrase. I don't know if I learned it somewhere or if I thought of it, but everything has a place. I said to myself, this is going to become my new mantra, so to speak, if you will say. And I'm going to go around and say this every time I see something out of place. I'm going to say everything has a place, everything has a space. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in its home. That is the only way that I am going to keep my tiny house free of clutter, and it happens every single day where you come in from hanging out and you are going back out, so you set things on the counter or you set things on the stairs and you don't have time to get back to them until a little while later. In the meantime, you're walking in again and you set a couple more items there, and then things just become cluttered. If you don't allow your space to become cluttered and you say, everything has a place or a space, and you practice putting these things away, then you will not have this problem. So that's what I find myself constantly doing. I don't mind this one as much, but I do find myself doing this on a regular basis, which is, I find something and I'll put it away. So yeah. Number 5, I constantly sweep or vacuum. I have 3 litter boxes for my cats, so I've got a litter box underneath this storage staircase. I've got 2 up there in the cat loft, so they are constantly dragging this litter all around. It's on my carpets, it's on my rugs. I do have mats inside these things. They're called litter catchers or whatever, and they catch the litter on their paws, but it doesn't always help because sometimes they jump out and all of the stuff springs out and it flies all over, and yeah, it's not a good situation. So I'm constantly grabbing the vacuum and vacuuming up that. I also vacuum up the wood pieces. They kind of sometimes use it as their scratching post. They also run across it, and they also just climb up it, then get across it. So the wood pieces on the outside fall, and I go up the stairs and I get all that up too, because it just happens every single day. Other things I end up sweeping or vacuuming up would be rocks from outside. I have a ton of rocks put down to level the house and to level the shed, and it's muddy and dirty, and it's just not fun. So I have like a double rug over here, and when people come in, they track this stuff in, I track this stuff in, so I'm constantly sweeping or vacuuming up that. I don't want my cats to eat this stuff or choke on them. Last but not least, I am always vacuuming up the food around their dishes so that I can prevent as well as I can not getting those little bugs again. If any of you remember, I had a bug problem, and honestly, I still do have that bug problem. I guess they came back, but that's for another video. So I am vacuuming up near their area and stuff to get all that out of the way. It's a lot of vacuuming on a daily basis. Alrighty, number 6. I am constantly moving things on a daily basis. To get to something else, I have to move something else. So if I stored something in my couch bed storage and I need something underneath it, I have to move everything that's on top of it just to get inside of it. Then I have to move everything back. And there are other examples, like on my stovetop, only one of my burners works, so the other one stays off. But there's a teapot that's sitting on the right side. So when I take off the hot pan, instead of leaving it there, I have to move the teapot in order to put the pan over here to make space for something else. And then when I do the dishes, then I have that room back, and then I can put the teapot back where it is. But I'm constantly moving things because there's not much space. So if you do need to get to something, a counter, a step, a stair, you know, you're going to have to move something to get to something. I believe I'm living in 355 square feet, and that is including the lofts and the catwalk. So yeah, not a lot of space to work in a tiny house. So you do things on a regular basis. Number 7, I find in my tiny house that I am constantly rearranging something, reorganizing something, just decluttering something. I feel that in a small space and with an ex-hoarder mind, maybe I still am a hoarder, just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's pretty bad though, because then I feel like, oh, I've got space, so I can bring this in. So what I've been doing lately and on a regular basis is either day by day or every other couple days, I open a drawer, and if it looks cluttered, I take the whole drawer out, I take everything out, and I declutter it. I reorganize it, I put things in different places, I get rid of things I don't want, I give away things, I use things up. So if I have 2 bottles of shampoo and they're both half full, I put the one in the other, even if it's not the same kind. Get rid of the one bottle, you put the one on top of the other one. So yeah, I'm constantly reorganizing something. I found it a challenge to do this all the time and to keep my house pretty much clutter-free. So number 8, I am constantly knocking into something, bumping into something in this tiny house. So this happens on a regular basis. My tiny house footprint isn't very big, and I like it that way, but I guess in exchange for a bigger space for a smaller space, you get a couple more bumps and bruises. Walking up the stairs at the very top, I'll bump my head. I will knock into the ladder going into the office. I will knock into the refrigerator trying to open the door because it opens up towards the whole space and doesn't allow the person to get through. Sometimes I try to fit through and it doesn't work because it's like only this much space. I'm not too clumsy, but I don't know. Maybe I'm becoming more clumsy in my tiny house. But if you are the type to knock into things, you might want to go wider. So I have an 8-foot by 28-foot tiny house, and there are 9-foot and 10-foot, and I even believe park models. I think park models are 12-foot, and they kind of look like a tiny house. So if you need more space to maneuver through your house, I would recommend a wider tiny house. So go 12-foot or even 9-foot or 10-foot. The walls take up some of that space, so I'm in about 7 feet, and then I've got the storage staircase and then my counter on this side. So I have like an alley to walk through. There's not much room. And then I get to walk around that ladder. I would not take down those ladders because the cats like them so much, so I'm just gonna have to walk around them and bump into them, and yeah. Number 9, I am constantly straightening something. But what I mean by straightening something is if all of the crap that you bring in from the outside shuffles something that already belongs there, when you put everything away, that you know everything has a place, you'll find that a lot of the stuff is now out of place. So the speaker that you always have laying there, or the plugs that you always have laying there, you're gonna have to straighten something. I also have cats and they run into everything and bump into everything, so I'm constantly straightening something, and it's on a daily basis. It's like a routine for me, all these things. So moving on. Last in this video, number 10, is I am constantly fluffing my rugs. When you're living in a space and those are the only rugs that you use, you mat them down. They get so matted down that you have to kind of, fluff them up. If you don't fluff them up, then the mats are gonna stay down. I learned this from my last rug that I had. I never fluffed it up. The hairs were about this long, and it was like long fake fur, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good to fluff up, and it wasn't good to walk on. It matted down way too much, and it looked horrible. So I ended up throwing those rugs away, and I got new rugs with shorter little whatevers, and I fluffed those up. I also got 2 for the bathroom, but there again, you're constantly standing in front of the mirror on that same rug, and you're matting it down. So you can take whatever you want to take to fluff it up. I specifically use my hands. Sometimes I'll use a pick that I don't use, or sometimes I will actually use the vacuum and vacuum over it, and it kind of just fluffs it up that way. So this concludes this video on 10 things I do on a regular basis. There are probably a lot more things I do on a regular basis. One of them, like number 11, being I'm constantly moving my cat's toys, but that doesn't pertain to all of you. So yeah, I'm constantly doing all of these things in this video. If there are any ideas that you guys have for me to lessen this list, like do these things less often, drop them in the comments below. And if you guys liked my channel, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. So whether you want to word that the title of the video, which is what is the title of the video? I don't remember what it was. Oh my god, hold on. Contains a dish. Ugh, no. Sweeping and mopping up that. Not mopping. Not want to straighten something. You're gonna have to straighten something. 10 things I do on a regular basis. It's a long one. It's another long one. To allow me. I don't know what I'm saying. Hold on, let me think of it.